Alright, welcome back. Let's keep going with this video and we'll go over some of that.
When the Nordells purchased their farm, they didn't know the land had been sludged 4 times by a farmer in the early 90s.
They were told that it was their civic duty to help with the societal problem of municipal sludge. So they got a bad deal. We got a bad deal. That was not a good idea.
PFAS are completely man-made, created from the top-secret World War II nuclear bomb Manhattan Project.
Stone and steel are turned into gas.
After the war, 3M bought the patent to develop these newly discovered chemicals and found they did a remarkable job resisting water, stains. 3M created Scotchgard. PFAS made their way into firefighting environment in our homes, in carpet and couches, and under the company DuPont in our Teflon pans.
It's in firefighter gear. It's in flame retardant clothing we put babies in. It's in the furniture that we spray, the Scotchgard, so we don't stain something. It's in our makeup. It's everywhere. It's in our coffee cups. It's everything. It is pretty catastrophic that a chemical like this has gotten into every aspect of our life.
How many states are impacted by this?
All 50. There's millions of acres of farmland that is still being sludged today. Probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of farms that are still using sludge.
The Environmental Working Group claims at least 20 million acres of American farmland may be contaminated. Now, according to the CDC, PFAS can be found in the blood of 97% of Americans. I went in for a blood test. I'm a little nervous, but doctor, what do my test results show?
Unfortunately, for someone like you who has made such an effort to get the PFAS out of your environment, you did test positive. Fortunately, it was only 3 out of the 6.
My test results are positive for 3 out of 6 tested types of PFAS circulating in my blood. The results place me above the threshold for concern for adverse effects.
You're in a category where you need to be monitored to see if there's any long-term impact of this on you. In particular, your cholesterol level, risk for breast cancer, and hypertension in pregnancy.
We're not going to be able to stop the break in the dam and the flood that is about to come.
Just so you know. This is basically kind of like a
We've
reaction
taken our own hazardous waste and destroyed our land, destroyed our water.
because this is my first time watching it.
And now we're destroying our food chain.
How did we get here?
They've ripped the heart and soul out of us.
I think not only is that possible, I think it's probable that thousands of farms are going to be impacted.
Where was the EPA when this was happening? Why won't it do more now? We went to Washington to ask when we come back.
1982 or 1976, something like that. Yeah, this is nuts. I have.
These documents show what Aaron Brockovich calls the shell game.
It's moving stuff around, for the end result that makes them more money and leaves destruction in its path.
So we have in front of us here a large stack of documents that come from the chemical companies themselves, documenting what they knew about PFAS chemicals, their harm to people and harm to the environment.
What they knew and yet did not tell us.
Exactly. Most of this was secret, just kept in chemical industry files, right, until various lawsuits forced them to disclose it.
It starts with animal studies in the 50s and 60s that showed impacts to the liver, kidneys, and spleen, and acute oral toxicity.
Going all the way back to 1963, 3M knew there were risks with these chemicals. They put it in their own manual that they're toxic and they need precautions.
Then, a test on firefighting foam has to be abandoned when the substance leaves all the fish dead. Then PFAS in food packaging, impacting the livers of dogs. And in the 70s, the first indication that PFAS already flowed in the blood of Americans.
So this is really interesting. This is in 1975, the first time that a scientist is alerting 3M, hey, we're in just regular Americans' blood, we are finding levels of PFAS. Why might that be?
Right, exactly. So this was just, unrelated to PFAS research per se. It was just scientists looking at chemicals in human blood, found some of these PFAS chemicals and were like, why are these here? What's going on?
And what does that mean? So that means that by 1975, the marketplace is already flooded with PFAS to the extent that it could actually show up in an average American's
that
vial
just
of blood.
average person already has PFAS in their blood by 1975.
In a phone call, a 3M chemist pleads ignorance. Court filings show that 3M soon replicates this in their own studies. Then a letter from their lawyers appears to advise the company.
What does that mean? What does that even mean?
They can plead ignorance all they want, but there's documentation to know, just like Wolverine knew about it.
I just want to search that real quick for everybody.
Are you done recording?
No. Yeah, I want to search that for everybody that doesn't know too, because most likely you'll have the same question if there's somebody out there will. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Oh well. They pled not to know. What the fuck? Liars, dude.
To conceal the chemical found in human blood was a type of PFAS. Around this time, DuPont warns 3M about toxic effects of PFAS in our food packaging. And by the late 70s into the 80s, documents suggesting 3M and DuPont are becoming aware that their own employees are getting sick.
This one is really, I think a smoking gun document. So in 1981, 3M was concerned enough about the potential for birth defects as a result of these chemicals that they actually reassigned all the female workers in the plant to jobs that didn't involve exposure. This document is actually a draft press release that their communications team developed in case that became public, right? So they didn't actually tell the public about this.
Then PFAS appears to be in the water.
The levels they found back then, would be considered very high today.
And workers keep getting sick. More than 2 decades after scientists told 3M the blood of Americans contained PFAS, in 1998, 3M finally alerts the EPA that the type of PFAS in their Scotchgard builds up in blood.
USDA and EPA. How in the hell did this get by you? It didn't. You knew something. For the sake of money, for lobbying power, you turned a blind eye.
In 1999, a whistleblower steps forward. A scientist at 3M steps down and sends a copy of his resignation letter to the EPA.
And this letter basically says, you have asked me to try to help identify where the problems with the substance are. We've identified a huge list of concerns. We need to do more research, but management is shutting me down. And I feel ethically like I cannot work at 3M anymore because they are ignoring the science, they're ignoring our requests to do more study.
By 2000, 3M agrees to phase out some PFAS in the course of an EPA investigation, according to the 2019 Minnesota Attorney General congressional testimony. At this time, 3M publicly suggests it recently learned PFAS are in human blood, when they'd known since 1975. In 2005 and 2006, the EPA fines DuPont $10.25 million and 3M $1.5 million. Then a major headline in 2023, a multi-billion-dollar federal settlement over PFAS contamination in our nation's tap water, making its way into many U.S. public drinking water systems.
There's a reason why they're settling these lawsuits now for water contamination, because the more we study it, the more we find problems, the larger the problem's going to be, right? They're rushing now to try to settle things before the full scope of the problem is even understood.
News Nation reached out to 3M and DuPont. 3M said in part, quote, "As the science and technology of PFAS, societal and regulatory expectations, and our expectations of ourselves have evolved, so has how we manage PFAS. In December 2022, 3M announced we will exit all PFAS manufacturing and work to discontinue the use of PFAS across our product portfolio by the end of 2025.
Fucking do it now.
In an email, DuPont, which has made acquisitions and divestitures and undergone corporate reorganization and restructuring through the years, said in part, in 2019, DuPont de Nemours was established as a new multi-industrial specialty products company. DuPont de Nemours has never manufactured PFOAs, PFOS, or firefighting foam. Further, though not a PFAS commodity chemical manufacturer, DuPont acknowledged using select PFAS compounds within industrial processes pursuant to relevant environmental, health, and safety rules and standards, and only as necessary to impart specific product performance criteria. The EPA still allows sludging to take place in all 50 states without PFAS testing requirements.
The chemical industries hid the full extent of the problem from EPA until the late 90s, right? But starting in the late 90s, EPA had all the information, and they've done very little.
What could the EPA do today to put a stop to
The
this?
single biggest thing I think EPA could do today would be to require testing for PFAS before putting sludge on farmland.
That sounds like a no-brainer given what we know.
It should be a no-brainer.
What do you know? What is the EPA? We've set up a system that isn't doing its job. It hasn't done its job for decades. We thought they were, and it's maddening to wake up and realize, what do you believe? Wow, you've been asleep at the switch the whole time? They had fair warning. This was going to be a problem. And for political reasons, for lobbying reasons, it got slid under the carpet. And now we've got a real problem.
Hold on.
You're still purchasing your lenses from your optometrist?
What are you doing? Come on.
Everybody rolling? Still rolling.
In June of 2023, we went to D.C. for an interview with Radhika Fox, then Assistant Administrator for...
Let me check. Was I on mute that whole time?
Man-made bomb. After the war, 3M bought the patent.
Hold on.
Political reasons, for lobbying reasons, it got slid.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Water at the EPA.
The EPA has known that PFAS is potentially hazardous to human health since 1998. Why not take decisive action decades ago?
The important thing is we're taking action now. We're taking swift action under the President's leadership.
What would you say to Americans who say it's too little too late?
I would say I understand your concerns. You know, I'm a mom of 2 kids, And I know that I want to turn on the tap and know that the water that I'm giving my children is safe to drink. I think every parent wants that. And that is what EPA is focused on.
We know the biosolids sludge is still spread in 49 out of 50 states currently on some of our most valuable farmland. Why is this still happening?
Well, land application of biosolids is one of the critical uses of biosolids from the treatment plants that are treating our wastewater. And in many instances, it's perfectly safe. There have been some certain circumstances where there have been concentrations of PFAS, and that's exactly why we are doing these risk assessments right now.
Why doesn't the EPA ban sludging until it can guarantee that it's safe?
In many instances, it's still safe to utilize biosolids because there isn't a prevalence of PFAS.
What is your message to Americans who feel that they are afraid to eat the food, afraid to farm their land because of PFAS contamination?
The EPA cares about you, that we are here to protect you, that we are utilizing every tool in our toolbox to address the very complicated issue of PFAS. And so one of the best things that someone can do is really educate themselves about what's going on in their local community. I suggest talking to your local water system to see what they're doing. Are they testing for PFAS? Are they treating for it?
Should it be incumbent upon the individual to do this, to call their water district to make sure that their water is safe? Or isn't it the EPA's job to guarantee that every time you open the tap, that water is safe to drink?
So we are, as I said, we're working very diligently to get this national drinking water standard in place. But at the end of the day, it is a partnership with our states and with local communities to together protect the American people.
In April of 2024, the Biden-Harris administration issued the first ever national drinking water standard. They say it will protect 100 million people from PFAS pollution. Still to come, a farmer who thinks he's found a solution, who is refusing to take his contamination results lying down.
You know, people have fight, flight, or freeze. I go straight to fight.
Stay with us.
Here you can see PFAS tested.
A celebration is underway at Misty Brook Farm. After 11 long months of contamination, this milk is finally being sold again. It's music to Brendan and Keisha Holmes' ears.
Ever since I was 5, I told my parents I was going to be a farmer when I grew up. You're my friend, not Huh? Yes, you are my friend.
Daddy, your weakness is cows.
Yes.
For Brendan and Keisha, honesty and trust is what made them choose this land from the moment they asked the previous owner how to get in to see the place.
I said, hey, is there a key to the house? He's like, key to the house? It's like, I haven't locked that since I built it. I'm like, all right, that's the place I want to live.
So everything was on the line in terms of the success of this place.
When we moved up here, it was do or die. We were either going to go bankrupt or make it work.
In year one, their farm grossed about $15,000. By 2021, it grossed $2 million and employed 13.
That must have been a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. It's a milestone. My goal in life is to leave the piece of land that I'm farming in better shape than I got it. And if I wanted to make money, I wouldn't have gotten into dairy farming. Maybe I'd have gone and worked for DuPont. But money, I don't care about money. I care about quality and integrity.
Which is why, when a customer asked them if they'd ever tested their milk for forever chemicals, they immediately put up thousands of dollars of their own money for testing. And when it came back high, there wasn't hesitation.
They left the decision up to you whether or not to go public with it. Did it cross your mind even for a moment to keep this private and to just not tell anybody?
No. You know, people have fight, flight, or freeze. I go straight to fight. And to me, I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that this has happened to. And my fight is like, I'm going to make this public. I'm going to talk to anybody who wants to listen. The fact that these chemicals were spread on some of the best agricultural land in the state of Maine, people need to know that.
Johnny was like, when do we have to stop selling milk? Brendan said, now. He's like, now? What are we going to do, Daddy? And Brendan said, well, I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business. Hi.
The first days, weeks, months, we called it firefighting. we were definitely in a survival mode.
Testing revealed their cows had become contaminated from someone else's sludged farm. The tainted feed for their cows was grown in Kentucky.
We are not responsible necessarily for how it happened, how the sludge was spread 20 or 30 years ago that contaminated the soils where the feed came from, but we are responsible for how we move forward.
We dumped 26,000 gallons of milk. It's demoralizing. Mothers would call up saying that they would buy like 5 gallons of our milk to feed their like 2-year-old, and was that 2-year-old going to be okay? You know, like, we pride ourselves on producing milk the mothers can feed their children, and then have them call us up and be like, is my kid going to be okay because they drank your milk? And it wasn't anything we knowingly did.
Their own family's blood work also tested high for forever chemicals. Brendan and Keisha found themselves putting it all on the line again.
We borrowed the money, and we bought 50 cows that were uncontaminated, $73,000 we borrowed for a new herd.
Finally, after 11 months, thousands in loans and testing, thousands of gallons dumped, making sure every ounce of feed and water was untainted, enough time passed that all of their cows came back clean. Their milk is now at non-detect levels of PFAS, and sales have resumed.
Ring separating going on in here. This weighs about
What level
90
is
pounds.
non-detect, though?
They don't have to. They choose to put this sticker on their milk. They want the public to ask questions. Brendan says he knows PFAS contamination has a way of coming back. He worries that another farm's contaminated feed could taint his herd all over again.
The drought's the thing that keeps me up at night, because in 2016 we had a severe drought. I had to buy 5 tractor-trailer loads of feed from Pennsylvania. I can't verify what soil that feed from Pennsylvania came off of, and I will be rolling the dice.
Fred Stone tried, taking many of these steps.
Sometimes the farmer doesn't fail the farm fails the farmer.
The USDA paid him out $65,000 for the cows he had to kill.
So we're working on getting another lab.
Important testing is taking place on his farm that will determine exactly how contaminated his land is, and if there is a path forward to his land being a farm again.
Who is next?
Yeah, I think a summer calf, and then we can do one of these guys, and then Cloudy's baby, and then the little baby. Ready?
You know, people pay big money to get their ears pierced, just so you know.
You ready for blood drawing?
Yeah, we'll try that too.
Okay.
And this is the only thing we've ever known.
They're taking a blood draw from the cow's ass? What the hell?
His results ahead.
That's so weird. I've never seen that before.
We can be here walk these fields next fall. The feeling in your feet, in the tender winter wheat, hear the songbird when she calls. Hope falls with each pass of the blade, but it'll rise again as bread from the sourdough you made. The lands and furrows of the miller's stone, who's to say we cannot live on this alone? We can be here for one more year. We'll walk these fields next fall. The feeling in your feet, in the tender winter wheat, hear the songbird when she calls. Now mayflies rise above the spring-fed stream. There are ripples on the water that you might never see.
If you carry a gun, then you need...
Wow. So now we watched that. Let's look into some farms in Michigan that have used biosolids. Excuse me. So Prairie Creek. So it's over to the right of us. Wow. So yeah, Prairie Creek was right here. Total PFAS 1,337. Wow. Alright, so oh shit. This is bad, dude. This is real bad. PFHXA 400,000. Michigan Part 201 residential, non-residential drinking water criteria, NGL. And just to double check, what is NGL? NG-L. It's not really helping me what I want. So, what I want to do... Yeah, so let's just do this for people that don't understand. I'm 90% sure I know what that means. I think it's parts per trillion, but we'll see. Taking her sweet time today.
Mother and
Now to a follow-up to a WFAA investigation tonight. We told you about a fertilizer that is made of human waste. It was suspected of killing livestock and making people sick. As crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez learned, there is a fight east of Dallas now.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Getting a deal
now to keep it out of another community.
Ranchers and farmers are fighting to stop what is about to happen on this property in Van Zandt County.
How would you feel if this was in your backyard?
The owner of these more than 200 acres has filed for a permit from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to spread biosolids, also called sewage sludge, on his land. It's fertilizer made from human waste that comes from wastewater treatment plants across the state.
This chemical is toxic, and there's no way around it.
These giant piles. As WFAA has previously reported, biosolids can contain high levels of chemicals called PFAS, or forever chemicals, that scientists say are carcinogenic. Earlier this year, we told you about Johnson County ranchers who say their land is contaminated and their livestock and fish are dying after a neighbor put biosolid fertilizer on his property. At a contentious meeting in Canton, citizens are trying to stop a landowner from spreading biosolids made by another company on his property about 30 minutes outside the city.
I stand with the ranchers, the farmers, the homeowners, and the people in this room and ask you to deny this permit on the basis of all forever chemicals are toxic and is not needed in rural Texas.
TCEQ was at the meeting along with a representative from Denali. That's the company that makes the human waste fertilizer to be used in Van Zandt County.
What staff have done is looked at everything that exists at the federal level and the state level, and the applicant has met all of those burdens and obligations.
Proponents of biosolid fertilizers say it's safe, but at least one state, Maine, has banned its use.
It all sounds pretty bad.
Residents at the meeting demanded to know why biosolids are allowed to be used as fertilizer in Texas.
We all can see that we know it's dangerous.
The TCEQ representative said their hands are tied because under current Texas regulations, they don't have the capacity to test for PFAS. They say they are waiting for new EPA guidelines that are expected later this year.
The issue becomes for the state, they have to have a policy that they can apply to every single permittee how to do that. And right now it's not clear how best to come up with that strategy.
According to TCEQ, there are more than 40 sites in Texas where companies like Denali and others have been allowed to sell or sometimes give biosolids away to landowners to use.
We are being paid by the generators of the residuals to haul it away and spread it, but we're not paying. And he's not paying us to receive it, and we're not paying him.
Citizens demand that the permit be placed on hold until the EPA releases its guidelines on biosolids, since the companies can't guarantee that toxic chemicals from the biosolids won't end up on nearby properties, creeks, and in waterways.
Just outside of town, near less than 10 miles, there's a big aquifer under the ground where many of these people's wells probably get their water from. You can't guarantee that aquifer will be poisoned by this stuff you're going to put on the ground. And as a lifelong Texan, I found that appalling.
Well, I can't guarantee anything ever because I'm not the one doing the applications. We have operations folks that do that, but it's always our intent to, and with the oversight of TCEQ, to follow the regulations.
TCEQ said at the meeting that unless the Van Zandt County landowner withdraws his request, he will likely be granted a permit to spread the biosolid fertilizer. In Van Zandt County, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
Okay, so the landowner was not at that meeting, but we did talk to him afterward, and he said because of all the backlash, he is now planning to withdraw the permit. WFAA, though, is continuing to investigate other locations where biosolids fertilizer is still being used.
So yeah, right here. 1 NGL is equivalent to 1 part per trillion. 1 NGL equals 1 part per trillion. And that is...
Hi, Shiba. Hi, Shiba.
Yeah.
Shiba Jitsu.
So 1 NGL, where was it? Oh yeah, that was down here. Yeah, right here. Michigan Part 201 residential and non-resident drinking waters criteria is DWC NGL. Understanding all this information is pretty annoyingly complex. I don't... They make it hard on purpose. Anyway, continuing on. Here's what I wanted to see. Sample date. 2021 and 2022. Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. This is bad, dude. It's a lot of different chemicals. PFOS 27.5. What is this measured in? Parts per trillion. So all this is parts per trillion. So 27.5 parts per trillion, 22.5, 833 parts per trillion, 672 parts per trillion, 702 parts per trillion. Wow. That's insane. Okay. Now, please feel free to look at this stuff yourself. I just want to let you guys know that it's out there. I highly encourage people to look at it themselves. Okay, so let's go back to this page. And that was Ionia. Let's do this one. Delhi. Near Lansing. What do we got? Oh, PFOS. That's a little bit lower. Still dangerous. So that's a little better than the last one. The last one was really bad. Holy shit. Let's check this other one out. Yeah, go check these out yourself. Just want a quick overview of these. Blah 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 blah. Where's the meat and potatoes? So parts per trillion. So, let's try something for somebody that doesn't understand this. While that's loading, we will check out some more. I think it says the solid samples are in parts per billion. So biosolids, right, in 2018, 2019, right here, and in 2023 were, I believe that's what I'm looking at, and if that's correct, that's high, dude. 77.6 in 2018. What is that? $77.6. It's 77,600 parts per trillion. That's insane. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So that's all the parts per trillion of PFAS. In water. Alright, let's check our stuff. Alright, let's check our stuff. What is going on? Fucking computer. Okay, we're still good to go.
Now, toxic sludge making its way into Tennessee waterways. That's what one Sierra Club study just found. And the bigger concern is the harmful chemicals that sludge can contain, known as PFAS. News 2's Nikki McGee has warned the changes environmentalists are now calling for.
Between nonstick cookware, firefighting foams, and even the coating on fast food wrappers, PFAS are everywhere.
And I'm tired. Slept too much. Wow. $9,630 parts per trillion. Parts per billion. This one's in parts per billion. $57.7. $57,000 parts per trillion. Oh, interesting stuff. Alright, well, yeah, go check this stuff out. That's about all I have to share for now. Until next time. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Watch out for my next video. Alright, see you guys.